Yeah, this shit.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to We Create Music TV. Welcome to the conversation. Of course, my name is B. Vaughn. I am the creator and host of We Create Music TV. And man, today, do we have an exciting event for you. We are going to have a conversation on music production. And so I have some great guests that are going to be with me tonight that are going to talk about what it really takes to be a successful music producer in this business today. But before we even get to the panel, I want to do some housekeeping type rules or some things that you need to consider with housekeeping. So number one, if you are watching on the Eventbrite page, make sure you go from Eventbrite over to the YouTube channel so that you are able to chat amongst the other folks who are in attendance today. So if you're watching from the Eventbrite page, jump over to YouTube so that way you can provide comments, ask questions and things like that. And so the other thing is, please make sure you hold all of your questions until the end for the Q&A session. We'll get a chance to try to get to all of the questions at the end. But first we're going to jump in and we're going to tackle a whole bunch of different things with our three amazing guests. So I'm going to jump in and introduce our guests, and then I'm going to have them introduce themselves and kind of share anything else they would like to share about them. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, hold on one second. One moment, please. Okay, so I'm gonna make sure I verify. Can the people who are on my YouTube channel see it? Jump in the comments and say yes if you can. If you can see this live stream. I don't know. Nobody's responding. Okay, well, hold on before we jump into. Okay, thank you. It took a moment for somebody to, I guess, well, it took a moment for it to actually get there. All right, cool. Appreciate that. You're gonna hold on one second, everybody. You're gonna have to register for the event. All right, sorry about that. I was talking to my tech guy to make sure that he was able to kind of provide any technical support that's needed for this conversation. Okay, now with that out of the way, let's jump into our panel for this evening. Okay, so first we have 5-time Grammy Award-winning, multi-platinum gold producer. He's worked with, he can keep me honest with, in case I miss anything, Dr. Dre, Kendrick Lamar, Eminem, The Game, Ice Cube, Snoop, Beyonce. I want to make sure we give a warm welcome to Focus.
Hey man, that clap was legit.
Hey, that's
I was like, yo, there's a crowd here. That's pretty dope.
hey, that's
Yeah.
right. That's right. They are. They're just in the chat. But so Focus, is there anything you want to say to the audience before we begin here in just a moment?
I just appreciate everybody that's tuned in. You know, it's dope to be able to just share what I've gone through, and hopefully it inspires somebody to be greater. And I got an album coming out October 30th, so
Hey,
that's where I'm at.
that's awesome. Yep, that is awesome. All right, Focus, thank you very much. Next on the list, we have Lionel Cohen. Lionel is a multi-talented producer. Man, this guy has he'll keep me honest once again, 400 IMDb credits. He has released over 200 albums in his career. He has over 2 million plays on Spotify. He has tons and tons of TV and film placements. He is a film composer himself, and man, he just has a million accolades to his name. But I want to give a warm welcome to Lionel Cohen.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks for organizing this, and I want to say I'm honored to be here with such fantastic producers.
And Lionel, we appreciate you being here as well. Thank you.
It's you, bro.
All right, and last but not least, we have my man. He is a multi-talented, multi-platinum producer. He has produced for Wiz Khalifa. He has produced for Yelawolf, Eminem, The Game, Big Crit. Man, and he's also the label owner of BNDWTH Studios here in Atlanta. Please give a warm welcome to Willpower.
Thanks for having me, man. I just hope to gain some gems out this thing.
Hey, look, me too.
Let's go.
All right, so let's just jump right into it. So once again, we'll have this conversation for about a good 50 minutes around there somewhere, and then we'll open it up for questions for all of you to chime in. So once again, please ensure that you save all of your questions to the end so that we're able to get to them in a timely, organized fashion. So there isn't any particular order to these questions, gentlemen. I just have a lot of things that I want to ask each and every one of you. So I guess the first question is, how does a music producer differentiate themselves in what seems to be an oversaturated market? And so we'll start with Focus first, and then if anybody else wants to chime in.
There's a lot to that question, just because we're dealing with a lot of people that are only going back as far as maybe 6 months to a year to listen and refer to music that they're learning from. I like to cross genres. I like to listen to music as old as 1930, 1920. I'm not adverse to just getting into classical and doing things like that. The best way for any producer to be a standout producer is to be original. And you have to understand what it takes to be original. It takes a lot more than just making a beat. You have to use an imprint. And I don't think a lot of people know how to glean or take different things from various genres and use those textures to make their sound. But definitely, it's real. You can do it. It's just it takes education.
All right, perfect. Willpower or Lionel, you want to jump in and comment?
Yeah, I second what Focus said. I think you're only as good as your influences, really, and the more influences you have to draw from, the more creative you can be.
Yes. Yeah.
I think they killed that one for me, man. That's awesome.
He was like, yeah, that was pretty much it.
Agreed.
All right, good stuff. All right, so let's go to the next question. So what are some of the biggest mental tools that one can obtain to be successful in this field? So anybody can take that question. We'll start with Willpower.
Okay, so I think it's just like, for me, it's about just kind of trying to have peace in as many places in your life as you can. For me, I like to be as, tapped into doing music when I'm trying to do music as I possibly can. I try to, get away from distractions, and if I have distractions, maybe there's some kind of way for me to tap into those distractions to see if I could turn them into something that I could use. I don't have a whole lot of mental tools that I guess I use. I mean, I have a connection with the programs that I use and things like that. But outside of that, I really just try to find peace, and I just try to find a space to be in, where I could really work and, you know, and focus on what I'm trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think just to tag along what Will said, we always want to find peace, but sometimes you still have to create from that chaos. So best way to do it, for me, and it's not me self-advocating, but I do tend to focus a lot harder using that mental tool and trying to do the best I can in this thing. And then, you know, just mental preparation, motivation. I have to self-motivate, you know, because for all creatives, I know it's easier for us to be down and depressed and reclusive, but it's really harder for us to turn around and motivate ourselves and tell us we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. And so just doing that, keeping yourself mentally fit. Yeah, that's one of the tools that's been most important to me. And then on top of that, just ushering in peace, just like Willpower said. Like I don't like to create from chaos. I can, but of course you would like to be in a peaceful atmosphere, in a peaceful place mentally when you're creating.
Yeah. Frank Zappa said to make sure that your life is in as much order as possible so that your art can be as chaotic as possible. I think that's true to a certain extent. I also want to add, I think it's important, an important mental tool would be to realize and accept that failure and rejection is a part of this business.
It is. It's a huge part in this business. You know, I've heard that you're going to get probably more no's than yeses. You know, so how does someone kind of deal with that? How does someone kind of deal, you know, so when I think about this question in regards to mental tools, right? So mental health is a big part of people's everyday lives. And we all deal with some type of mental health issues on a daily basis. Focus, you talked about depression, and you talked about just, you know, being peace and having peace. You know, but so how do we develop those, and how do we as producers deal with those mental health type of issues when we feel depressed and we feel upset or angry, or, you know, people are telling us no, and so we feel down?
I'm only gonna jump in because 2020 has definitely served me up a plate of crap. You know what I'm saying? So 4 months ago, I lost my son. I'm currently in a really weird place with that. And then on top of that, just everyone has been dealing with quarantine. Everybody's been dealing with shutting off of the world, no connectivity for real. So the best way to do it is to find a routine that you can still practice during this whole pandemic, and make sure that you are religious with it. Make sure that it becomes your routine. It's, again, when I was talking about before, even just being original, it takes education. And a lot of people don't want to educate themselves on mental health because they don't want to admit that they have mental health issues. I'm crazy. I'm a creative. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Like
That's right.
I own it. You know what I'm saying? This quarantine was nothing to me. This was a blip on the radar. I'm like, I get to stay home and spend time with my kids. I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever. So you have to admit to yourself, you have to be honest with yourself first, and let yourself know that you have issues that you need to work through, and you have to do your education and seek out help. But once you find that help, whatever they give you to help you build a routine that you can better yourself with, you have to stick to it. It's not an easy job.
Yeah, there's truth in that. Definitely truth in that. And I mean, I absolutely agree, is that find those routines that help you practice and keep your mental health sharp.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, did you want to add something? I thought you were going to say something.
I mean, I operate like that a lot, and I also try to use music is therapy for me. So, you know, a lot of times when I'm dealing with things and, you know, life is just like kind of beating me down, you know, I'll go to music, you know, and I'm not always creating to like get a placement or creating to create something work-wise for myself. Sometimes I just go and create to release and just allow myself to get off the things that might be on my mind. So, sometimes, going in and just like beating on the drum machine for a while is just the perfect amount of aggression that I needed to get out of me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or, trying to find a way to communicate, with God and with the universe. So, I do it through music sometimes. So, um, I sort of use it as an escape sometimes. So, whenever I can, that's exactly what I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. I mean, for me, it was my chance to escape the real world and to not deal with the problems of the real world. So music, I found myself heavily involved in music to get away from, the things that I was facing in my life at that time.
Escapism. Yes, sir.
Escapism. Yep, definitely. All right, so let's switch gears kind of quickly to talk about, would you mind sharing your thoughts on the progression of modern music production? Do you think that there's a laziness nowadays in the digital age? And I'll open it up to everybody. Do you think people are now lazy because we got all this technology?
Oh God, this is gonna be a good one. Hell yeah, people lazy, man. Uh, but I think there's definitely pros to the technology. We all are like benefiting from, music technology, of course. I think it's made me a better producer and it's made my workflow way easier. But I just, I find it hard sometimes to accept that it has made it really easy for people who may or may not have worked as long or as hard as I have to get just to be able to do what I do now. Um, I'm still one of those people that believes in the 10,000 hours theory. And like, certain things have to really be in place for you to, um, to really master something. So I'm a advocate for the technology because I definitely know that it's going to take us places that we've never been before musically.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I still really respect the guy that can really shred on a guitar and can really play a bass and can really play drums and really took time to learn how to mix and, put the work in to get some things done and didn't just, drag and drop, the loops together and throw drums under it. You know what I mean? So um, that's all I have to say.
Anybody else want to chime in? Lionel, focus?
Uh, yeah, I don't know if laziness is the right word. I mean, it's kind of like when we switched over from stick shift cars to automatic transmissions. Is it because all the drivers are lazy, or is it just to make something easier for us that wasn't really necessary for most drivers? I, I mean, there are things, just like reversing a sound in a digital workstation is, back on tape, it was a complicated, time-consuming process. Now it's a click
Yeah.
away. But is it laziness? I mean, you still have to, when you're creating, when you're producing a song, you're still thinking 5 or 6 steps ahead of what you're working on at the moment. So you're tweaking a vocal, you're still thinking about that beat that you want to fix up. So I don't know if that changes, even with the technology being faster.
I have to add this.
Please do.
I think lazy people. I think lazy people are lazy.
Mm.
Okay.
Come on.
So I'm not saying everybody's lazy, but I do believe that from a technical point, we've made it so easy to call oneself a composer, an arranger, a producer, and they don't know what it took. Like Quincy Jones produced Thriller and didn't play one instrument on it,
Hmm.
but he charted and he composed and he arranged and he produced that album. So at the end of the day, I think that the real basis of that question is, how did the music maker or the beat maker or whatever you want to call it nowadays become the producer when it encompasses way more? I think lazy people are lazy. I think stupid people are stupid. I think smart people are smart. I don't want to categorize everybody and generalize anything, but I think that those that understand when it comes down to dragging and dropping, add your piece onto it. You have to do a little bit extra work, because if you're taking my sound pack and Willpower sound pack, then me and Willpower made the beat. That's how I feel. That's why I make sound pack. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah, see, that's a question that I don't know if I have it in here, but that's definitely a question I will be asking in our sound design one that comes up next month.
I will be watching.
Exactly that question, folks. Because I am interested in that answer. Yes. Okay, so gentlemen, thank you very much. So next question for all of you.
I gotta ask what's in that red cup though, bro. That's a now that's a red cup.
Hey man.
See, I wasn't gonna say nothing, but I gotta get one.
Hey, that's a cup of comfort and love.
All right, so gentlemen, so what are some of the common pitfalls that you've seen when it comes to music production? And I'll open it up to everybody. What are some common pitfalls you've seen as a music producer?
Ego. That's one of the hugest, and that's not even a word, but it's retarded to walk into any room that we're all in there to get one job done, and that's to make a great song, and your ego precedes everyone's energy. It actually stops the synergy that's happening in the room. That is one of the worst. I hate dealing with people with egos, and I hate dealing with this whole new attitude, like, you know, you have to come in already buffed up and puffed up with pride. I'm just not that guy. I walk into every situation, even if it's a brand new producer, I walk into every situation open-minded, because I'm always going to learn something from somebody. So I think it's ego. That's the first one that popped into my mind when you said it.
Yeah, so I guess the focus, I'll ask you a follow-up question. How do you deal with someone who comes into that situation with that mindset?
No one's going to agree with me, but this is how I deal with it. There's a yin and yang to everything. There's an up and down to everything. There's a peak and a valley to everything. So I'm like, at the end of the day, if somebody goes up, 10-1 is going to behoove me to go down. We don't need two people doing this and meeting at the top and butting heads. We don't need anybody using the same energy and just constantly butting heads. So if somebody turns themselves up, I turn myself down. And then I let my actions speak for me. I don't have to turn around and toot my horn when I walk in the room. I never do. I just work, you know what I'm saying? So anybody that has those insecurities, my job is to still make sure that we come out with a great song.
Perfect. Gentlemen, Lionel, Willpower, what are some common pitfalls that you've seen when it comes to music production?
Yeah, I agree. Go ahead, Will.
Well, no, I was just going to add to that. I think that's an excellent answer. I'm also a stickler for organization. I hate when people are unorganized or unprofessional in sessions. You know, I think too many times people are turning sessions into party zones and things like that. And where I realize how important it is to set a vibe sometimes. I've seen a lot of young cats that work out of my studio. You know, they're spending money and their budget's on the line, and like the session turns into smoke sessions or whatever they turn them into. And most of the time it's just like, you know, that's like annoying to me, because I just feel like, you know, at the point where you're invested in it, you should certainly be coming to work and be organized and professional about it. So.
All right, Lionel.
Yeah. Wait, Lionel, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna. At the end of the day, it's about how it serves the song. And I think people lose focus of that, show off with something else, or service to the song.
Yeah, Lionel, I don't know if everyone heard what you said. Your audio was kind of breaking up a little bit.
Is this better?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I was it's all about this at the end of the day, and is reason because of ego or whatever it is, and I think that's one of the pitfalls.
Yeah, your audio was still breaking up, Lionel. I'm not sure.
B, I think he's talking. I think he's saying, from what I'm piecing together, it sounds like he's saying people lose the whole vision of the song. It starts to become about an individual. It becomes about different individuals instead of about the one thing that's bringing everybody together, and that's the song. Right. If I'm wrong, Lionel, let me know. But we're really trying to piece this together.
Yeah, and
losing focus of the song, exactly.
Losing focus of the song, and it amazes me that I know people such as yourselves who have Grammys, multi-platinum, gold producers, tons of accolades, and a lot of you, or the majority of you, are very humble. And I think that's one of the most common traits that I've seen in producers who have what we would say so-called made it at that particular level. They're the most humblest people that I probably have encountered. But then when you have guys who are probably starting out, who may have 1 or 2 placements, all of a sudden their ego kicks in, and they want to be, I'll say it, they want to be a jerk to everybody, right? Their head gets to this level, and they're nowhere near where the level of accolades that some people in the industry have, who are some of the most humblest guys that are, and ladies who are out there. And I think that's just, I think that's a shame.
Yeah. I think the humbleness comes. I was saying, I think the humbleness comes from the fact that it is a long, hard road to get there, and you shed all ego along the way.
Yep, the game will humble you.
On to what to add on to both of them, when you pay dues, then you're gonna learn that humility is what got you into the rooms. If you go in there and you're bigger than Diddy, if you're bigger than Dre, if you're bigger than whatever, you can literally shoot yourself in the foot. You come in understanding where your position is in life, and you play according to the room, and you play according to what you're bringing to the table. It's unfortunate, man. The ego will kill. My boy Fred Rex says, "Your ego is not your amigo. Your ego will kill your blessing." You know what I'm saying?
Yes, it will. So I guess the question is, then who's at fault? Who's at fault for the, I don't want to say the creation of the egos, but for the, I don't know the right word I'm trying to say there, right? Because like all of you, you've had to pay your dues, right? It wasn't a very easy road for you to follow. You had to put blood, sweat, and tears and sacrifices into achieving the level of career that you have now. But it seems like today that it's not as, you don't have to sacrifice as much. You don't have to put in as many, man hours.
You don't have to sacrifice anything.
You don't have to sacrifice anything, right? I mean,
no.
And so I guess it makes it, that's what I was trying to ask, like, well, who's at fault for that? Because it makes it so much easier for people to get a placement, I guess, and then to kind of get their head swelled up to that level. It's maybe nobody's at fault.
No, I think that placing blame, and I'm sorry if I'm taking this, I'm not trying to take the conversation over. I just want you guys to understand that right now, placing blame is not going to get anywhere with anybody. Right. You know what I'm saying? If you want to place blame, you can put it on the industry because the industry introduced the super producer. If you want to put blame on anybody, it's people's greed for wanting to look or live that certain lifestyle. If you want to put blame, like, we can go back and forth. That's not going to do anything. It's not going to do anything. Everybody wants it to change. It has to be a here and now situation. And the people that are listening to you here and now are the people that we're talking to. It doesn't matter who did what and what happened. It matters what you do now. And I'm telling you, walking into a room with an ego is going to get you nowhere on my end. That's all I can get.
Mine too. Go on with that bullshit.
Look, I have heard that many times. Not me personally, but I'm just saying that ego will not get you far in this industry. And if you're trying to be the all high and mighty, it's not going to work out too well for you.
No one wants to be around that.
Yeah, no one wants to be around that.
No one wants to be around that. You got to work with these people for hours, for days and months. No one wants to be around that kind of energy.
That's right.
Yeah, and the game is based around relationships anyway. And like, if your goal isn't to like cultivate relationships when in these types of positions, then you're kind of defeating the purpose anyway. Because, you know, as long as people find you attractive enough to work with, they'll continue to want to work with you. So that turnoff is that could really ruin the relationship in general. You know, you don't want to become known as the guy that's, you know, always on go in a negative way. So
there's a lot of people that have been, a lot of females that have been in relationships where they've been abused and they stay in it for years. There's a lot of men that have been abused and they stay in relationships for years because it was comfortable. There's a lot of people that are okay with working with people that are condescending, that have egos in this industry because it's comfortable. Because they get to talk on their money phones, on their Instagrams, and they get to, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's comfortable. I would rather pass on something that makes me feel bad about what we're creating and bad about myself than sit there and be comfortable.
right.
These people that are here right now have to be honest with themselves. Are you here for a check? Are you here to be comfortable? Or are you here to live your purpose? Me, Lionel, and Willpower and Bevon, we live our purpose. So this is where the conversation can do this, because you're gonna know who's. You know what I mean?
All right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So even in that same vein, kind of going off what you were saying, Willpower, about you know, building relationships. So what are some of the critical business skills that music producers need to develop to be successful, and why?
I think they need to become masters of listening. I think one of my biggest attributes in making music is I'm very in tune with whoever I'm working with. I spend a lot of time just trying to figure out what they want, what makes them work, you know, or when it comes down to the final mix of a record, like I'm very in tune to what it sounds like. Does it feel like I thought it should, you know? So I think that just for me in general, I think one of the you know, key things for me is just being a good listener. Many times I've come to a session and I had this idea that I wanted to play for the artist, but the artist came in because he had a bad day. Well, I need to be able to, you know, pivot. I can't play this great, awesome piece of music that I had planned for him if this person is just not in that space today. Now we got to actually get to work, and I need to be listening and be able to pivot and make this work. So that's just something I've learned over the years, to just to learn to listen and use that as a tool.
All right, perfect. Focus, or Lionel? What would you like to add?
For me, an important business skill that I've learned over the years that I've never thought I would ever learn, or I was never interested in, is reading and understanding a contract or an agreement. That, I think, is very important for people starting out. First of all, don't sign anything without reading it. And if you don't understand what you're reading, have someone else read it. And over the years, you'll recognize things in contracts. There's a lot of templates that are being used, and you'll know when something is fishy. But at first, definitely do your research when you get an agreement. Ask some friends, is this normal? Is this not normal?
Yeah, stay away from contracts that have the words like perpetuity in it.
You'll see perpetuity a lot. Things like exclusive, you want to really double check.
Mm-hmm. Focus, anything you would like to add in regards to critical business skills?
When you show up to a job interview, you show up at your best. Make sure that you understand that this is not just a job, it's a career, and it can last you for your life long if you show up correctly. Etiquette in every room is different. Learn how to play the room, learn how to read a room. I think one of the greatest things I heard for that answer, not only about the contract, Lionel, but I am a creative. And when I come into the room, if my mood is bad, you need to understand that we have synesthesia. I can see color and I hear sound. I mean, I can hear color, see sound. So when I'm looking, I can see the energy. Like you can see someone's energy if you really pay attention, if you're a really good listener. And seeing that whole thing play out, you have to understand that you're a part of that factor. So it's important. Connectivity, I think, is one of the most important things. So I'm really just kind of tag teaming both of them.
Perfect. Thank you, Focus, for that. Thank you all for that. Because I think one of the things that most people miss as a producer in this industry is the actual business side. I think we're so focused on the creative aspect that sometimes we kind of miss the business side of it. And we kind of get caught up in a lot of different things, whether it's from publishing, whether it's from splits. Like I know there's producers out there who probably don't know what a split sheet is, maybe, right? Or they may not know how much you actually make off of a song as a music producer. They probably don't know any of those types of things. And I think a lot of times that they find themselves now in a situation where, oh wow, I should have learned that, because we were so busy, pressing pads and, playing chords, that we completely just forgot about the business side until we're in a situation that causes us to now backtrack and learn everything we can about things like PROs and all that type of stuff.
There's nothing wrong with being an immense creative. You just have to be smart enough to put the right people in place. And I'm one of those people. I don't like being in. If I meet you one time and we have a meeting, I don't want to have a second one. Tell me in the first one what we're doing and let me get to work. And then the people that I have in place will come and meet you, and you can smile and slap them on the shoulder and do all that stuff. I just want to be in the studio and create. And I have the right people in place that have kept me alive for as long as I've been in this career. So it's not a fault, but you have to make sure your team is strong too.
That's
which
right.
is a whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a whole nother thing, to ensure you have the right people around you that are working for your good as a creative. That's right. Anything anybody else would like to add, Lionel or Willpower?
No, I'm good.
All righty. Okay, so the next question is, why is it important to have multiple streams of income as a music producer? Or is it even important to have multiple streams of income as a music producer?
If you don't like being broke,
I
it's
think
important.
I was gonna say, I think, as a producer, it's almost essential. Like, we all know how this really works. Because being a producer has like many layers to it. Some people are, going for the next record to come out and things like that. Others are, making sound packs and creating other different things. So, I think unless you have a steady source of income all the time with one thing, I think you should certainly be trying to make sure you have several ways of, flipping that, your abilities and your music into as many ways and formulas that you can. And I love the music business these days in that light for producers. It's really cool to be a producer right now. There's so many ways to make a couple dollars here and there if needed. So I think that's kind of just a no-brainer. It's like, yes, you have to find as many ways as you can, and I mean, don't try to do 20 things if sometimes we can spread ourselves too thin, but if you've mastered the art of 2 or 3 ways to make money as a producer, you should certainly try to maximize that as many ways as as much as you can.
Perfect. Anyone else like to add on to that?
Yeah, I think just don't get comfortable.
Don't get comfortable. So speaking in what you were saying, Willpower, what are ways that other people can earn income rather than just producing for an artist? Maybe they don't know. Maybe people are out there doing it today, but what are just some other ways that people can make money outside of just producing for an artist?
Well, I think, there's sound packs, of course. There's there's sync licensing, trying to, write music for, movies and soundtracks and things like that. YouTube is becoming a great place to sell music to people. There's all kinds of like content programming that's going on, and people are looking for you know, for music for that type of stuff. Like, we tend to think that if you're not trying to get a movie placement for a major movie house, that you can't be getting, movie work. But the truth is, there are people every day creating content on the, the normal level that have small budgets or even big budgets to, to let you be the person to create the music for their content. There's that. Then there's I mean, I don't really know how to get into this world, but like, I mean, if you go sit down at a restaurant and eat, there's usually music playing. So there's some business model somewhere that can help you get your music in that space. I just think you have to be creative. I remember when I first started getting, sync licenses for TV, I did just the biggest type of thing that you could, and that was just wait till the movie went off and I read the credits and saw that this guy was the person I need to call. So if you see who the music director is on a TV show that you like, that person probably has a Twitter, they probably have an Instagram. There's 100 ways to reach that specific person. And so a few times I just would hit them up, and do what you do to get in. And once you create a relationship, then I've been able to turn those into like money making opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
So really, it's just about being creative. I mean, if you make music, you got to make a way to sell it.
That's right.
I don't think it's not just about being creative. It's also about education. You're absolutely right, Willpower, but it's about educating yourself. We didn't have the internet when we were going to record labels and we were sitting in
Right.
lobbies and we were, you know what I'm saying, trying to get our demos heard and all that other stuff. This
Right.
world is open in a whole nother way. You know what I'm saying? And you can actually find licensing companies that are willing to pay you a check. It might not be big money, but they're willing to pay
Right.
you a check so that, you know what I'm saying? So they can get all of your beats and sell them for VH1, for MTV, for so on and so forth. So you can start making checks as soon as tomorrow. It just depends on how
Yeah.
deep you want to delve into the library. And the library is the internet.
That's true. Lionel, anything you like to add?
Yeah, if you have tracks laying around, put them in a music library and see if you can get some passive income out of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. One of the things that I found is, and I don't know how people feel about that, but one of the things I've learned is drop an instrumental album. You know what I mean? You can put out an instrumental album that people will purchase. Shameless plug. Focus has a couple of them out there that are amazing.
Yeah.
I think you guys should check out. Yeah.
Man, all y'all need to stop it because those instrumental albums gave a whole bunch of people a bunch of music that they didn't want to pay for. But that's okay. Like at the end of the day, this is a different model, a different day and age. The what's my man's name that did the old song? What's his name? Billy Ray Cyrus. Old Town Road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lil Nas X. So that
Yep.
record was like, he got it for $30 or something like that. Broccoli was like $30. Like, these guys are literally surfing the internet trying to find a new person. So just give yourself some visibility. You got to get with somebody like
Yeah.
Miss Stars. You got to get on your YouTube. You got to get on these places, and they're gonna find you because they're looking, they're searching.
That's right. So Focus, I'm glad you said that. So let's talk about producers, and I just want to know your thoughts on it. Selling
Sure.
beats, selling exclusive beats versus selling beats for the low. You know, you got producers who will sell beats, 2 for 20, 5 for 50, versus
Right.
really working with an artist in the studio and really. So how do you feel about that when you got the non-exclusive versus exclusive, and I guess the commoditizing of beats of music today?
I think that 100% of nothing is nothing. And if you get
Facts.
some kind of return on what you have in your hard drive, then you've done something amazing and you started your road to wherever you're going. Bro, I didn't
Yep.
start off getting 10, 20, $30,000 a beat. I started off doing beats for my boys for $50. I started off doing beats for my boys for nothing and getting a free haircut, or, you know what I'm saying? You start doing things that help you advance. And you have to understand what your journey is to understand that, man, 100% of nothing is nothing. I got all these beats and I haven't sold anything because I'm waiting for the big payoff when I'm with Dr. Dre or when I'm with Rick Ross and when I'm with. That's going to take some time. It's going to take some effort. And you don't put forth any effort now, and you don't start building your stacks now, or building your name now, or building your visibility now. What do you have?
That's right. Anyone else like to jump in and answer? Focus, thank you.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
he's
he's
right.
100%
Even if
right.
it's you give away your beat, you're getting your name out, which is invaluable.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a true statement. What's happening these days and is, you find these producers who've done some things for $50. One thing for sure, the guy that did the broccoli beat for $50 is probably making whatever he wants to make for a beat now. So
Right.
that's what it took. You know what I mean? I'm good friends with Trinidad James, and that All Gold Everything beat that he had. He barely paid anything for it, and I'll never forget the story he told me about when the guy that actually produced it found out about it. He was literally about to be evicted the day they called him and stopped. They were able to stop his eviction because he had a hit
Wow.
record that he didn't even realize took off. So, yeah, you just have to take advantage of all those opportunities. I mean, it's music, and if you're creative, you'll be able to continue to create. Protect yourself, but at the same time, get out here, because if you don't, you risk never being heard. I do have friends
That's right.
that have some amazing music on hard drives that we'll never know. Because
Wow.
like Focus said, they're waiting on the big lick. You can't wait on the big lick. You never know when that is.
You never know when it is.
You never know.
And that's not bad. It's not saying it's not going to come, but you just don't know. It's not going to come on your time.
Yeah.
It's not going to come on your time. My first hit, I was in the industry since I was 19 years old. My first hit I was 34. I could have quit before then. You know what I'm saying? It's like, man, no. There's a reason why I'm doing it. There's a passion. There's a fire. Yeah, that was a great point, Will. Great point.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so gentlemen, what do you see as the future of music production? Where do you see it going from here? That could
It
be for anybody.
revolves. It revolves. We're finally getting into the beautiful sweet spot of the Renaissance when and Anderson .Paak, aka
Right.
Breezy Love, breaks through, where you know, we have another MC Light in Rhapsody, Queen Latifah, where we have these artists that are coming through that normally, because everybody was dumbing down for a second, nobody should have liked. We have a Kendrick Lamar. We have a, you know what I'm saying? So I see the revolution happening, and we're coming back around to that super creative era, to where the Tribe Called Quest can vibe and come to fruition, to where the like I said, the Anderson Paaks, the, you know, James Brown type artists, these can all come to fruition now because people want to hear something with more dynamic, especially because we're confined. I need to feel life outside of my confinement.
That's really dope too. I think too. I think that music is expanding as well. Being that we all have access to our own specific taste and playlisting, like there's all kinds of shit going on. So I think we don't have any limitations right now. I think that depending on what you're into and how good you are at it, you have very good odds at like becoming successful at it. You know, it's really a work game at this point. So, and I like that about it because there was a time where, you know, we all we could really count on was hoping to become a part of the top 100 albums, you know, for it to that as a goal as a producer. But now you literally you could write a masterpiece in your bedroom and have it out to the world and it go crazy just based off of your ability to work it and knowing what it is you want to do with it. And so I think that's really dope right now with music production, because we're not confined to just one idea of where the music can go and how far it can go and how many people it can reach. So, you know, I think genres have been expanded, but yet weirdly they're not limited, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think what Phineas has done, I mean, he's a bedroom producer, or was, until he won all those Grammys. Who knows now? But I think the fact that technology has leveled the playing field to a certain extent, I think hopefully now we're going to be seeing talent taking the lead.
Yo, that was amazing. That was amazing.
That's it. Bing. All right, that's it, y'all.
Yep.
That's it.
That was it.
That was it right there. Yes. All right, gentlemen. So let me make sure I'm off mute. All right, cool. So I know people are wondering, so what are some of the biggest time-saving tips, workarounds, secrets to being a successful music producer? And not just that, but to be and that's probably a huge question, but not just being successful as a music producer, but also tips to help them work smarter while they're in the studio, being a creative as well. So what are some time-saving tips? No, go ahead, focus.
There's no secret. There's no secret. I like all the real about everything that you want to do in your life all depends on your passion and your work ethic. There's no secret. So if you want to be great, if you want to be great, you spend sleepless nights being great. You spend nights away from your family doing what you have to do. And it's unfortunate. I mean, I hate the sacrifice, you feel what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I'm like, at that time, I really wanted to be legendary. I wanted to be mentioned with Quincy and Dr. Dre and all them and so on and so forth. So there's sacrifice that comes with it. There's an uncomfortability that comes with it all the time, because you never know if those checks are going to come in readily. You don't know if you're going to be sitting on your hands for a couple of years because now you're not hot. But then after those 2 years and the resurgence of when you were hot comes in and they're sampling your music, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many factors to that question, but it's like, man, people have to understand what they're in it for. And it's just about being honest to self, you know? They have to be honest to themselves.
Yeah, I think that's a big key. I think that is a real big key, being honest to self.
Yeah.
Lionel or Willpower, any thoughts you'd like to add?
I mean, we touched
That
a
was
little
too
bit on
good.
it earlier about being personable and being someone that people want to work with. Uh, as far as tips or tricks, something I do with new artists is the first hour, we're not working at all. We're just having tea, shooting the shit, talking about anything. And the goal is to make them feel comfortable. Once they relax and they're not nervous and they feel comfortable, that hour that you spend doing nothing, you're going to gain once they're in the booth, and it'll go so much faster and so much easier. So you really want to create a comfortable environment.
Yeah,
Again,
definitely.
though, and I do want to just tag on to what Lionel says. That's one of the greatest tips you can give anybody. But again, guys, this is not a secret. You don't
Mm-hmm.
invite somebody over your house and you make them feel alienated. I mean, this is just, it's just being real. You want, if you want something to work, you're gonna have to work at it. So Lionel, that was beautiful.
Yep. Yeah, thank you for that, because I do think that there are people out there who think that there's a secret to it, that there must be some
There's no,
secret industry, tidbit that's shared amongst the, Grammy Award-winning multi-platinum producers that they're not giving to the rest of the populace. And the truth is,
Well, that
if
tip
there,
I can't
there's
tell
no
you right
secret.
now, but
if there was, I'm mad that I wasn't in the room.
That's right. Yeah, there's no secret, because you hear people say, and a lot of time on We Create Music TV, we talk about the scarcity mindset versus the abundance mindset, and what it means to be someone who thinks from a scarcity perspective, and that there's not enough out there for everyone, and that if you get a piece, I can't get a piece. If you get some, there's not enough for me. If you get that, particular placement, I may not get a placement, versus an abundance mentality that recognizes that there's enough for everybody. Everybody has the ability to eat, and I talk about that often. But you find in this industry that there are people who have the scarcity mindset, and they operate that way, and they think that people hold back information and they don't want to give you the keys or the secret, and so they believe that there's secrets out there, and it's not.
Those are the people that are putting walls and floors and ceilings over their creativity. My first Grammy was in a Latin, um, it was a Latin Grammy. I never thought I would break in Latin music, but that was my first Grammy. You know what I'm saying? And if I would have closed myself to any kind of other opportunity, I wouldn't have gotten that. I don't know if I'd be here right now, even talking with you guys. You feel what I'm saying? So I think what you're saying is right. It's a worldwide pie, and everybody can get a slice, but it might not be where you want. You might not work with Jigga. You might not work with Dre. You might not work with Snoop, but you might work with Dre, Snoop, and Jigga overseas, like Booba. People like where you're trying to be. That's again, we go back to the same thing. You have to be honest with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be honest with yourself. Do you want to be a superstar producer of the nation, or do you want to be a great producer worldwide? And there's a difference.
Yeah, there is a difference, and I think, as you say, it goes back to a person's mentality. That's right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Gentlemen, anything else to add? All right, so then I'm going to ask my last question. So what do you see? Oh, I don't want to ask it in that way. What would be your biggest piece of advice to music producers today? And we'll start with Focus and Lionel, and then Willpower.
All right, one more time. I'm sorry, bro.
No, that's okay. What would be your biggest piece of advice to music producers today?
Surround yourself with good people, because you're going to need support. You can't do it alone. And when you do it alone, you're going to beat yourself up, and you'll have your good days and your bad days. But support will help you even kilter. And I had to learn that over the course of my career. everybody is going to try to come into your circle under the guise of love. You have to be discerning, and you have to be shrewd, and you have to realize who needs to be in your corner, because it's reciprocal. What you give out, you're going to get back. But when it's one-sided, those people are either draining you or they're holding you down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lionel, thank you.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would say from a technical standpoint, be an audio engineer. Learn as much as you can about audio and what a high pass filter is or how to set a compressor. I think you need to understand these things. You can't always count on someone else. And you need to, even if you have someone else there, be able to express what it is that you want. You need to know the language, not just the language of music, but the language of audio.
Yes. Yep. Study it. Willpower.
Yeah. Put in that work. It's really that simple for me. You got to be willing to work. Learn your DAW. Like he said, learn engineering. Build your team. Don't get no sleep. Get your hustle on. Like, like it's really nothing magical about it. Like every single person, every friend in the business that I have that's been successful at it, we all got one thing in common, and that is we really work. I've known Focus a long time, and this is a guy that doesn't sleep. And I'm pretty sure Lionel doesn't sleep much either. It's work. Like in order to do what they're doing, there were times where we were just grinding to the point where like that's what it took. And don't be afraid to take risk. You're gonna have to make some sacrifices, but if you believe in yourself, it'll all pan out.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. I know that they received a ton of gems from that. So we're going to open it up for the audience members to ask questions. And so as they're preparing to type their questions in the chat, once the question comes up, I will showcase it on the screen itself, and then we'll take a moment to answer it. So whoever wants to answer the question can answer the question once it pops up. All right, so what questions do you have for our panelists tonight?
B, I want to say this, man. You asked some of the most amazing questions.
Focus, thank you. Yeah, I really wanted to give it some thought.
This is probably one of the dopest panels I've been on in my career. That's amazing. You're asking real questions that people need to hear.
Yep, thank you, sir. Yeah, I didn't want to just ask about, hey, Focus, so what plugin do you use to get your,
I do want to know that shit, though.
Bro, he got a whole video. On Waves of how he uses.
I'm saying.
No
That's the secret right there. Right, how he use Waves plugins to do his stuff. Trust me, I watched that video a gazillion times. If you haven't seen it, go on YouTube and watch Focus's Waves video about how he uses those plugins to do what he do. All right, here's the first question. So it's a two-part question. So the question is, it's for Lionel. So Lionel, how do you get an orchestra to play your beat? Most influential, John Williams or Bill Conti?
Conti.
You said Conti?
Wow. The first part of the question, how do you get an orchestra? Well, you got to get the budget for it. If I'm working on a film, sometimes they have a budget for a string quartet. Sometimes they have a budget for a full orchestra. Sometimes they have no budget, and it's all in the box. So it's not really up to me when an orchestra will play what I write. In terms of influences, John Williams is legendary, that's for sure. And Bill Conti, who's written everybody knows the Rocky theme. I don't think we could live without it. But I'm more of a Ennio Morricone kind of guy.
All right. Awesome. Yeah, like focus.
No, he's one of my favorites.
Yes.
That's one of my favorites. That's dope. Okay.
That is awesome. All right, here's the next question. Which do you find more enjoyable, your work in music or placements in television? I don't know if Jeff, is that one to somebody specific or is it that to anybody?
Yo, Jeff fired off. He got a bunch of questions over there.
Jeff got a bunch of questions. He sure did. That's my guy, though. That is my guy.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I can say in terms of TV placements, that's kind of a passive thing. That's not really a creative thing. It's just getting tracks into the right libraries or to the right people. I definitely enjoy music production more than that side of it.
Yeah. Gentlemen, focus or willpower?
I've been in my own walk. I mean, sometimes not necessarily television placements, but the movie placements pay pretty good. I don't say that.
I
All right, next
honestly
question.
think
Go ahead, focus.
it's all good. I just like making music. So either way, my passion, my love, what I'm enamored with is music. So I just love making music. I love the creative process.
Thank you. All right, here's Jeff again. Do you think that anyone can do what you do if they work hard enough?
Nope.
Nope.
Because I'm me. I'm me. My journey is what got me here to being me. Your journey is what is going to get you there to being you. Your journey might have some places where we look similar, but you're going to go through what you go through, and I went through what I went through. So no, you better be different. You better be better.
Yeah, I can also add that your journey, you might not end up where you thought you would.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is so true. So true. Okay, thank you. Next question. Do you approach working with established artists differently than working with up-and-coming artists?
My approach is the same. I feel like, the only difference between some of that talent is one has managed to become established. A lot of times there are people who are super talented that you've never heard of. And so if you short them an opportunity by just, looking at their circumstances, you might just be, you might be blowing it for yourself. I just look at talent as talent. If somebody's dope enough, if I'm in the room with them, it's probably because I really enjoyed it and wanted to be in the room in the first place. But, I certainly don't do it any different.
All right, good. Focus or Lionel? How do you approach it?
I mean, I think it depends on the talent. If an established talent has an established direction, then you definitely need to consider that. But I mean, I don't know about focus or willpower, but when someone comes to me, it's because they want to do something different. So we start from zero, whether it's an established or a new artist. But that might not be the case for focus or willpower.
I think we're on the same page.
I think that it's always a zero start. And I believe that the artists that work with me want to encompass me into whatever their journey is. But I think that it's different when you work with someone that's been in the game for 20 plus years and you can speak a different language to them than a new artist. So if nothing else, it's just language. Like I would tell game like, nah, that ain't hot. Let's go back. Let's rethink that 16, this and blah, blah, blah. And we can talk like that. because we have a relationship. But not just because we have a relationship, he's heard that over the course of time in his career. New kids don't understand, like, okay, we got to rethink it. Nah, that's hot. Or they'll shut down. And it's just a matter of lingo. There are people that have been weathered by this industry, and then there are people that are just brand new. So you just have to, deal with them differently. You have to deal with them and make sure that they feel comfortable. Going back to what Lionel said, making them feel comfortable.
All right, perfect. Thank you. All right, so here's the next question about balancing family and time for creativity. What are some effective ways to do that?
I have 5 kids. Delegate your time and use your time wisely. It's in the Bible. You don't turn around and look for a moment to yourself unless you put that in your time slot. My time for my kids normally is when I wake up until my business day starts, which when I'm working with the company, it can be from 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon until. So I try my best to give them my time. And I do the best I can to give them my weekends as well. But you want to be super present in those moments. You don't want to be on your phone or thinking about what you have to do at 12 or 1 o'clock. You want to give them all of your love, all of your attention. Play dolls if you have daughters. Play Transformers if you got sons. You do what you got to do, but you got to be in the moment and give them that time, because there's not an amount of money that can cover the time that you lose once you make that sacrifice.
Yeah, I would wholeheartedly agree with that. I have 4 kids myself, so I know exactly what that is.
Yeah.
Next question, any advice for staying inspired?
I think constantly seek out new styles, new music, new movies, new books. I don't think there's any reason you wouldn't always be inspired.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
Challenge yourself. Challenge yourself. You want to do something, if you don't want to look up new music or whatever, challenge yourself. Take ABCs and make it hot. Take Twinkle Twinkle Little Star and remix it. Do something that nobody has done. You know what I'm saying? Challenge yourself. Pull yourself out of your own parameters and challenge yourself. And that's how you'll stay creative all the time, because you'll find something. You'll look for something that you've never touched before. Try new sounds that you've never touched before. Pull up a session. Don't touch any sounds that you've ever touched before. There's ways you have to challenge yourself.
Yeah. If you write on piano, try writing on a guitar. If you write on guitar, try writing on a saxophone. Just pick something new.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect. I mean, there's many ways to stay inspired and to stay creative. So thank you for that, gentlemen. All right, the next, is there a style of music either of you would like to learn or get more into?
I'd like to learn an instrument as opposed to a style of music.
Yeah.
You know, I'd like to learn something that I don't know how to play already. So that would be pretty fun for me.
Mm-hmm.
I want to learn the textures of Afrobeat, of grime, a lot of the worldwide music. I'm not really interested in anything that's happening from east to west. I want to learn some of this stuff that's happening abroad, and
Yeah.
really start to and embrace that.
All right, good. Thank you, gentlemen. This next question is all about mentors. So if you could tell us about any mentors that you had when you were an up-and-coming producer, and I'll expand on it, Jeff. What were some of the biggest lessons you've learned from them? And I'll open it up to anybody who wants to answer.
My first mentor was I'm sorry. Yeah, my first mentor was a guy named K Def, an amazing hip hop producer. and he just kind of introed me into the world of digital music and stuff like that. So I had a really cool mentor, and to this day, I still use the techniques that I learned from that. Um, I don't know. I learned a whole lot from that guy, just watching him operate in rooms with artists that I was, when I was coming up, these were like the biggest artists in the world. And so I got to see some things, sometimes it's just really cool to be in the presence of someone who's done some great things and is doing great things. And to just be a fly on the wall meant everything to me. And 25 years later, it's like I look back on it and I go, well, damn, I still use all of those techniques. So it's kind of crazy how that works. So that mentorship changed my life, actually. So.
Would anyone else like to chime in?
I've never had a mentor. I think I didn't know I was a producer. In fact, I started as a songwriter, studied audio engineering just so I can make my own recordings sound better, embellish the production, the arrangements. And then one day a friend of mine said, "This sounds great. You're a great producer." And that's when I realized, oh yeah, I guess I am a producer. And until then, it didn't occur to me.
Wow. Okay. Focus.
Every mentor that I had after my father, even my father, including my father, didn't know that they were my mentors. So everyone that ever had the ability to glean from, I did from afar. And the first time that I got to work with someone that I looked up to was Dr. Dre. So
yeah.
Dre, he he always, it gets on his nerves when I tell him, "Oh man, I thank you for everything you taught me." And it gets on his nerves, but he knows he's my main mentor. But like DJ Premier, Q-Tip, Jay Dilla, Stevie Wonder, Prince, my father, Bernard Edwards, like I gleaned from everybody. Teddy Riley, like Chucky Booker. I have a whole list full of mentors. But, Todd Rundgren, Phil Collins, Peter Gabriel, like you glean from them and you take what you need.
All right, thank you for that. Okay, next question is, have you ever, excuse me, have any of you ever refused to work with someone? And I guess the follow-up question is why did you refuse to work? And I don't know if you can share any details about the context of that, but I guess why is it kind of crucial to be choosy with who you work with?
I don't want to align myself with certain spirits.
Yeah.
I don't align myself with bad spirits or bad energy and sometimes people will be like, well, you work with this person and they were talking about this in their song and this and that. Okay. But if I have the choice, I choose not to. And in those moments when I was coming up, I was signed to Aftermath, and a lot of the stuff has misogyny and so on and so forth. But on the regular, I don't want to align myself with certain spirits.
Yeah. I mean, I've turned it down for things like what we talked about earlier, like ego. I've been in rooms where perhaps I worked with somebody at one point, and then after working with them, you realize, listen, this ain't what I don't want to do this. So I've turned work down in that sense. Like Focus said, bad energy, sometimes bad business. Bad business will also keep me from going in the room with certain people, and sometimes you don't know that ahead of time. So, maybe you can, but I think, I have a real strong discernment. So if I just ain't feeling it, I just ain't feeling it. And, and if the question is more so, will you take a bag over how you feel? I won't, I'm just one of those people who can walk away from a job if I just ain't feeling it.
All right, perfect. Lionel, anything you would like to add?
No, yeah, same thing. Just if you get a bad vibe off of someone, trust your gut.
That's right. You got a gut for a reason. You better trust that thing because it will, it won't fail you. I've learned that many times. So this is probably kind of in the same vein as the other questions. Who are some of your influences in your life that you've been able to work with, and what have they taught? What have they taught you? And so it's kind of probably like the same question, but if anybody wants to elaborate.
One of my influences would be like Travis Barker. And I've been able to work with Travis quite a bit. What I like about Travis is he's kind of a hybrid artist slash producer, slash musician, of course. And with him, he's always stayed true to what he does, but he's always reinvented himself. So like the Travis of Blink 182 is nowhere near the Travis of, you know what I mean, of now, who's working with like artists that are nowhere near the genre he works in. So I'm just, from that, being around him and seeing how long he's been in the business and operating at such a high level, you just, what I've noticed is you have to be able to pivot and you have to know how to, adapt to the industry as it changes all the time. So I just think that's really cool. And so I got that from him.
Perfect. Anyone else? Lionel or Focus?
I'm good. I'm talking too much.
So the question is, would you consider going back and revamping some of your older work with new ideas?
I've been doing that for years. There's no such thing as a bad idea if nobody's heard it.
That's right.
And if nobody's heard it, then you have the chance to perfect it. So don't ever throw away anything. You can find something new in it. You can half time it. You could speed it up. You can there's so many different plugins you can put on it and make it your own sample. Don't throw away anything.
Yeah, I was going to say, Focus on that there's no such thing as a throwaway beat.
I hate when people say that.
Yeah, there's no throwaway beat.
Yeah, once I throw it away, then you can't get it anyway because I threw it away. So what is we talking about? Like that's what I do when I throw away beats. Like I throw away beats. I don't keep throwaway beats on my hard drive.
Yeah, I literally delete them and
they're
delete
gone.
all the files and empty the trash, and they're no more. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So question is, how big has confidence, ego aside, played a role in your producing career? And that's for anyone.
It's kept me in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it keeps me in the game. Like you have to be confident in yourself, confident in what your abilities are. I definitely feel like I can go in any room and work with any producer and offer up what I have to offer and be extremely confident in what I came there for. You just gotta believe in yourself, and I carry that. I'm happy for it. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Come on,
that is
man.
right. You know, Mark Bird has a thing that he posts up almost every day on his Instagram. He says, "I deserve it," and you got to feel like you deserve it. You have to feel like this is your legacy that you truly want to leave, and you got to work your tail off to truly achieve it. And so, I would say, as another friend of mine, Smitty Boy, says, "Don't quit. Keep at it. You got to keep at it." All right.
I will add, though,
that go ahead, Lionel.
At the top of every project, if I'm scoring a new film or something, there is a period of, what the hell am I doing? I can't believe they picked me. This is going to go horribly wrong. And that can last a few days before you shake it off and you get to work.
That's right. Yeah, there's a difference between ego and confidence. That's right. A healthy confidence is good. That's right. Well, I mean, there doesn't appear to be any other questions that are in the chat. I definitely want to say, let's please give another round of applause for our guests today, Focus, Lionel, and Willpower, for being here. Thank you very much once again for taking time out of your busy schedules. You know, of course, these guys are very successful in what they do on a day-to-day basis, and they took time to be here today, and I am forever in their debt for it. So once again, thank you very, very much. I'm trying to see, we have something else come in. Okay, yep, so greatly appreciate it. And so we will wrap it up. We'll say, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to another conversation with We Create Music TV. I greatly appreciate you being here. Make sure you go subscribe to our channel, because that helps us to grow on YouTube. It helps people to kind of see this content first and foremost. So if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please make sure that you are. We're dropping a ton of stuff. We have a ton of interviews that we've done with Mark Bird, Smitty Boy, Nick Fury. I've been trying to get Willpower on an interview, but I'm glad Willpower is here today. Right? But yes, I mean, we've done a ton of interviews. We've done master classes. We have a lot more master classes coming up for you. Things like networking in the music industry, 7 habits of highly effective producers. There's a lot of things that are coming into play with We Create Music TV. So make sure you subscribe. Once again, thank you very much, gentlemen, for being here. And ladies and gentlemen, we are out. Thank you very much for tuning into another episode of We Create Music TV and The Conversation. So gentlemen, before I even press this button, any last things you want to say to those who are here? Any last words of advice you would give them?
I would say enjoy the journey, because the destination is gonna keep changing.
Yep, enjoy the journey. You're on this journey.
That's
so
good.
Yeah, enjoy it. I won't add anything else. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in. Greatly appreciate you being here. And with that, we are out, ladies and gentlemen.